Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Sutara Śrīmad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Grantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayed Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. Good to see all of you after a year. Cold Melbourne. We are doing text 23, right? Yeah, okay. Evam Shipam Danusi Sanditam Utsasarja. Evam Shipam Danusi Sanditam Utsasarja. Bānam savajramiva tadridayam vibheda. Bānam savajramiva tadridayam vibheda. So srigvaman dashamukher niyapata vimana. So srigvaman dashamukher niyapata vimana. Daheti jalpati jane sukriti variktaha. Dadeti jalpati jane sukriti variktaha. Please chant. Evam shipandanusi sanditam utsasarja. Bānam savajjamiva tadridayam vibeda. Susrikvamandashamukhe niyavatad vimanad. Daheti jalpati jane sukriti variktaha. Evam shipadanasi sandhitamutsa sarja. Bānam savajjamiva tadridayam vibeda. Sosrikvamandashamukhe niyavatad vimanad. Daheti jalpati jane sukriti variktaha. Evam shipandanasi sandhitamutsa sarja. Bānam savajjamiva tadridayam vibeda. Sosrikvamandashamukhe niyavatad vimanad. Ladies. Evam shipandanusi sandhitamutsa sarja. Bānam savajramiva tadridayam vibeda. Tasrikvamandashamukhe niyavatad vimanad. Dayeti jalpati jane sukriti variktaha. Evam, in this way, Shipan chastising Ravana, Dhanusi on the bow, Sandhitam fixed an arrow, Utsa Sarja released toward him, Bānam the arrow, Saha that arrow, Vajrameva like a thunderbolt, Tad Hridayam the heart of Ravana, Vibeda pierced, Saha he, Ravana, Asrik blood, Vaman vomiting, Dashamukai through the 10 mouths, Nyapatad fell down, Vimanad from his airplane. Ha ha, alas what happened. Iti thus, Jalpati roaring, Jane when all the people present there, Sukriti eva like a pious man, Riktaha when the results of his pious activities are finished. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. We can repeat together. After thus rebuking Ravana, Lord Ramachandra fixed an arrow to his bow, aimed at Ravana and released the arrow which pierced Ravana's heart like a thunderbolt. Upon seeing this, Ravana's followers raised a tumultuous sound, crying, "Alas, alas, what has happened? What has happened?" As Ravana, vomiting blood from his 10 mouths, fell from his airplane, just as a pious man falls to earth from the heavenly planets when the results of his pious activities are exhausted. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 9.21 it is said, "Shine punye martya lokam vishanti." When the results of their pious activities are exhausted, those who have enjoyed in the heavenly planets fall again to earth. The fruitive activities of this material world are such that whether one acts piously or impiously, one must remain within the material world according to different conditions, for neither pious nor impious actions can relieve one from Maya's clutches of repeated birth and death. Somehow or other, Ravana was raised to an exalted position as the king of a great kingdom with all material opulences. But because of his sinful act of kidnapping Mother Sita, all the results of his pious activities were destroyed. If one offends an exalted personality, especially the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one certainly becomes most abominable. Bereft of the results of pious activities, one must fall down like Ravana and other demons. It is therefore advised that one transcend both pious and impious activities and remain in the pure state of freedom from all designations. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tatparidvena nirmalam. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 19.170. When one is fixed in devotional service, he is above the material platform. On the material platform, there are higher and lower positions. But when one is above the material platform, he is always fixed in a spiritual position. Sagunan samitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Ravana, or those like him, may be very powerful and opulent in this material world, but theirs is not a secure position, because, after all, they are bound by the results of their karma. Karmana deva netrena, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, 3rd canto, 31st chapter, 1st verse. We should not forget that we are completely dependent on the laws of nature. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimuddatma kartamiti manyate. The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by nature. Bhagavad Gita 3.27. One should not be proud of one's exalted position and act like Ravana, thinking oneself independent of material nature's laws. Amagyanatamrandasya jananjana shalakaya chakshu sanvilitam yena tasmai shri guruve namaha. Mukam garati vachalam pangam langete girim yadgripatamam vande Shri Gurum Denataranam Paramananda Madham Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gododiya Pushpavanto Chitra Sando Tamonuda. Hare Krishna. This is an amazing pastime. Ramayan, everybody loves Lord Ram and his pastime. The 9th canto is about liberation. The 9th canto, according to the Acharyas and so on, the first 2 cantos are the lotus feet of Krishna, and the 9th canto is the neck. And obviously there's a lot to speak about Lord Ramachandra and his pastime, right? It's amazing, but yet Sukadeva Goswami rushes through the pastime of Lord Ramachandra. because he is so eager to talk about Lord Krishna. So therefore you find the pastime of Lord Ramachandra, he only discusses 2 chapters the most. Mostly the storyline in the 9th canto is very short, and you see the canto itself is very short. Talks about a lot of lineage, and he says, let's get through this. I want to get to Krishna. He's so eager, and so he goes quickly. But we still need to know about Lord Rama, so we can read the Valmiki Ramayana, and then we can understand the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ram. And we find, particularly in this case, this is the battle between, the final battle between Lord Ram and Ravana. We find that Ravana here is feeling very invincible actually. He goes through many battles and he's always been victorious. And he has achieved benedictions from Lord Shiva. He has achieved benediction from Lord Brahma, and therefore he feels invincible. He feels no one can touch him. The benediction from Lord Brahma, after 10,000 years, he took the austerity, and 10,000 years of austerity. And his austerity was, after 1,000 years, he chops off one of his head into the fire. That was his sacrifice to Lord Brahma. So after 9,000 years, the 10,000 years he was about to chop his head off, and Brahma comes and says, stop it. I'm pleased with your austerities. What do you want? The first thing he says is, I want immortality. And so Brahma says, I can't give you. He himself is not immortal. Everyone in this material world has a finite lifespan. And so Brahma says, I can't give you that. And so he says, give me the ability to conquer all the powerful entities, the celestial beings in this universe, all. And I don't want anything against the mankind, human beings, because they are weaklings and the creatures of earth. I'm not interested in that, but I want the ability to be powerful and able to conquer all the other celestial beings. So then Brahma says, so be it. And not only that, Brahma gives him extra boons also. Says, I'm very pleased with you for the austerity. So he gives him the ability to also transform his features from his horrible appearance. He can change anytime to any personality he wants. And that's how he would get so many ladies to accept him as their husband. Otherwise he was not. And he was also a nonsense also. Once with that power, he thought he could defeat everyone. So he went to Kailash to argue or to actually conquer even Lord Shiva. So then Nandi, he has a servant, Lord Shiva has a servant called Nandi. And so Nandi comes and all this has meaning, so we need to know, because Nandi stops him and says, you can't disturb Lord Shiva and his consort here. But he is so arrogant, he says, who is Lord Shiva? Who does he think he is? You know? So and then Nandi says, you can't do this, you know, I myself will stop you. But then he laughs at Nandi and says, you look like a monkey, you know. And, you know, what are you? You know, you have nothing compared to who I am. And he's so terrible in his way, the speech, his mannerism and so on. Nandi gets very angry and curses him. And the curse is, you will be destroyed by an army of monkeys. So that's one curse. So remember, we read the purport. If you abuse and do impious activities, everything will go away. You lose the credits. So slowly he is so arrogant, he is doing that. And so he uses his 10 arms and he tries to lift Mount Kailash. And sure enough, he just shakes Mount Kailash. At that time, Parvati is sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva, and so there was a sudden shake, and she held on to Lord Shiva and says, "What's happening, you know?" And so Lord Shiva knew this guy is messing around, so he pressed his toe on Kailash mountain. And then immediately all his 10 arms were captured or trapped under the mountain. And he couldn't release himself. So all the other Rakshasas say, "You better pray to Lord Shiva." And so he prays, and after 1,000 years, Lord Shiva comes and says, "Okay, I'm pleased with you." And then he says, "You can go free." He says, "If you're really pleased with me, give me a weapon." So he gets another weapon, a Chandrahasana weapon or something like that. And then with that weapon, he goes to conquer all the planetary system, upper, lower, and so on. And he comes even to Ayodhya, and there he meets a king, Anarayana king, very powerful king, and he defeats the king and he ridicules him. He says, "You're weakling, you're nothing, useless, who do you think you are?" and so on, you know. And with his dying breath, this king curses him and says, if I am so pious, if I've done my duty as a king, if I protected everyone in this world, then from my lineage in this Ishvaku line, there will be a devotee, there will be a personality called Rama, son of Dasarath, and he will kill you, you know, and then he dies. So that's a curse again. And so every time someone curses you, you're going to lose your piety also. Whatever you have done, you may think you're great, but if you are a nonsense, if you abuse people, if you are rude, there is this system in this material universe that you cannot do and get away with it. There's reactions for everything. So in this case, anything negative you do, you have a negative reaction. So on top of that, he also was flying one time, and then whilst flying, he saw this beautiful young lady doing austerity. And he comes down to her, and then he says, "You know, you're so beautiful, why are you wasting your time, you know, doing austerity? You should just be, you know, enjoy your life, and, you know, and I think I'm the right person for that." And so he tries to, violate her. And this personality, I'm cutting the story short, her name is Vedavati, Kushadvaj, Muni's daughter. And the father, Kushadvaj Muni, has made a promise to her that she will be the wife of Lord Vishnu. So he said, to get the hand of Vishnu, you should do some prayers and austerity. So that's what she was doing. And while she was doing that, Ravana comes and then causes so much problem. And so in that situation, he grabs her by the hair to violate her. And immediately she transforms her hand into a sword and chops off her hair. And she says, "For touching me, I will come back in my next life to be the cause of your fall down." She says, "I'm not going to curse you because all my austerities will be wasted. So I'm not going to curse you." And then she, self-sacrifice. She creates a fire within her body and burns herself up. And it is said that she takes birth as Sita. Yeah. And then the last curse that also, which is, he has done many nonsense and he's cursed a lot. But the last one is also very important. He goes and violates his own brother's son's wife. Nalakuvera wife is Ramba. So she is picking flowers in the heavenly planets, and then he comes and sees her. He captures her and she begs and says, "You are like my father. You know, why are you doing this?" And he says, "I don't care," and he rapes her. So she goes back crying to her husband, Nalakuvera, and says what has happened. And obviously everybody at this time knows the prowess of Ravana and his potency, and so therefore he couldn't do anything, but he said, I have to do something to stop him. So he takes the Ganges water, the celestial Ganges water, and then he pronounces a curse. He says, from henceforth, if any woman does not willingly give to you, and if you abuse or violate her, your head will crack into 1,000,000 pieces or some other number, or 7 pieces in some places. So when he heard that curse, Ravana, since that time, has been very careful. He says, I don't think they are very powerful, but I know these sages and demigods, their curse can come true. So therefore, he was very careful. So you can see, by his behavior, he has caused so much impious activity, and therefore his own position is slowly been eroded. Undoubtedly, he has so much boons he has garnered from the demigods. Still, he thought that he could get away with it, but at the same time we see from here, Srila Prabhupada mentions how all these things will sooner or later finish up. But if you get cursed, it finishes up quickly. Okay? So the demigods at this time, therefore they approach Lord Brahma, and then they say to Brahma, look what you did, You gave this guy all this power and now we can't even do anything. He's harassing the entire universe. And so Brahma says, he asked for the boons against all the celestials and so on, but he forgot about the human beings. So we will pray to Lord Vishnu to come as a human being and then put a stop to him. So therefore we find Lord Vishnu coming in as Ram later on. And so we see this beautiful pastime, Ram's pastime. They are so charming. Why? Because he appears human-like and he has so many wonderful encounters with different personalities. Not only that, he is charming, he's very attractive, he's beautiful, and the way he speaks, he is so sweet, and everyone wants to be with him, wants to serve with him, and so on. And so, so many wonderful, fabulous things are happening with Ram's pastime. Now, although Ram comes in that way, he comes to also teach what is an ideal king, ideal son, an ideal protector, ideal what else? Brother, and so on. And he's a hero, and he's attractive because of that. And so we think he's just like us, right? And he can go and he fight but then we can understand he's not just a hero. He's not just like us, but he's actually better than us. Yeah, he's a Supreme Lord. He's a better version than all of us. Ideal in virtue, ideal in his conduct, and so on. Now, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives emphasis, and you can understand that the kidnapping of Sita, or he tries to defile Sita, but he is not able to do it because he understands that there is a curse, and therefore he doesn't abuse her like that. Anyway, the storyline is wonderful. The reason for not violating Sita is that there was a curse, as I mentioned, by Nala Kuvera. But although these curses are like that, still he was atrocious. And he went on again and again, even though he had many wise counsels, his advisors, his brother, everyone tells him, and he couldn't control himself because of his pride. And when you're very proud, the gates of hell opens up. And therefore, here we see Shine Punya Vishanti. Srila Prabhupada, as mentioned in this particular verse, in the purport, he says, generally this verse describes someone who is worshipping the demigods. And after they get the boons, the blessings, it finishes. So, Shene Punya Vishanti Martyaloka, right? Once it's done, from the heavenly planets, they have to come back. They have to fall down. So similarly, he is using up all his piety. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport also, somehow or other, Ravana was raised to an exalted position as the king of a great kingdom. Somehow or other. Now, what is that somehow or other? If you look at his lineage, he is coming in the lineage of Pulastya Muni. And Pulastya Muni had a very powerful son and sage, Vishrava. And Vishrava had a son called Vaishravana. Vaishravana is Kuvera, the lord of the wealth. And Vishrava was actually approached by another personality, the daughter of Subali, one of the Rakshasas. So she requested, she was beautiful, so requested Vishrava when he was performing austerity, and she requested at a very bad time, at the end of the day. And so Vishrava said, I can fulfill your desires to have children, but you should understand that you're asking at such a bad time and that son will be a horrible person. So again she gets very, she pays obeisance and says, please, I don't want such a son. Then he says, your last child will be very dharmic, very exalted. So anyway, she gives birth to, first son is a son he takes birth with 10 heads. And so his name is Dasagriva. And then he gets the name Ravana when Lord Shiva presses the Kailash mountain on his hands and he screams. And his screaming was so terrifying, it disturbed all the 3 planetary systems. So they were saying, and they were all crying when they heard such a sound. So therefore his name is Ravana. That means he who makes others cry. Yeah. And he also makes people cry by his behavior. All right. So anyway, he's born of an exalted, illustrious lineage, and his second brother is Kumbhakarna, and then the third one was Shurpanaka, and then the last child is Vibhishana, the most wonderful of the 4. For them, he's the black sheep of the family. Because he's not like them. So, and he gets trained. He gets trained in Brahminical things also. So he knows many things. He's not like he didn't know a lot of this training also. Although he was trained Brahmanically by his father, he has the Vedic knowledge, the Vedic arts, and he knows how to do austerities, and he knows, and because of all that he got boons and benedictions, yet he didn't use it for the right purpose. Generally for devotees, if we have abilities, we are using it in the purpose of pleasing the Vaishnavas, pleasing the Supreme Lord. We use our abilities like that. But here you can see Ravana wasn't using those things. He had all this knowledge, but he became so proud. He was thinking, I'm so powerful. And you have to understand the association he has, all the other Rakshasas and all his advisors, they were also wanting him to conquer. So they wanted him to conquer and take back Lanka, which was in the hands of Kuvera at that time. And obviously, after when he gets all his blessings and benedictions, he does go and fight with his own brother and kicks him out of Lanka and takes over. Right? Yeah. Actually, Vishrava tells Kuvera, don't fight with him, just go. Because he has boons that you cannot face him. So he goes to Kailash. He makes another city on the mountain of Kailash, and Ravana and his cohorts, they take over Lanka at that time. So, and here you can see he's thinking he's invincible. Another reason for feeling like that is because after having won all the universe, Narada Muni coaxes him and says, go and fight with death himself, Yamaraj. So he does go and fight with Yamaraj, and Yamaraj gets so angry, he takes a rod, his rod, and he wants to kill him. Just as he about to kill Ravana, Brahma comes to him and says, no, you can't do that. I've already given him the boons. And so you please leave him alone. He will be taken care of the Supreme Lord. And so at that moment, Yamaraj disappears. So when Yamaraj disappears, Ravana thinks, I am supreme. Now I have the entire universe under my control. And all those things makes him think he's so great. So no one can control him, no one above him to stop him. He was unchecked, unbridled, full of viciousness in his heart, a very demonic nature. So whatever these merits, these benedictions allowed him to come to the high position, made him become more sinful. And at the same time, his sinful activities, because of that, his piety, everything became exhausted. And so in this verse, Srila Prabhupada also writes, he says, it's kind of beautiful and poetic. He fell from floating up in the sky, he's falling down. And so in the same way, he's using up all his pious credits, and therefore just like anyone in the heavenly planets, when you finish with your pious activity, you also fall down into the Martya Loka. Martya Loka means the planet of death. Everyone dies in this planet. So all the merits are exhausted and he fell, and that's the language in this verse. Sukritiva riktaha. All his pious merit is finished. Riktaha. Generally our pious activities is finished by our normal activities, simple activities, or due to time, or both activities and time. But here you can see his piety, his abilities, all that he has done in good merit also, everything was lost because of his impious activities. And more so than that, because he was offensive to the Supreme Lord. It was very offensive. Although he was extremely powerful, in contrast or in face of the power of the Supreme Lord, he's like an insect, appearing invincible. So the emphasis Srila Prabhupada is making, the purpose is guiding us so that no harm can happen to someone who thinks like that. They're thinking there's no harm, but actually that is not the case. If we abuse our position, everything will be taken away from us. Everything is temporary in this material world. The only thing that is permanent here in this world is devotional activities. Everything else is temporary. So we should be very, very careful how we behave. Even though we understand our position, sometimes we think we are so good, we can do many things, we become proud, and in our pride we look down on other devotees as well as common people. We may think, oh, I'm a devotee, all these people are not devotees, I'm better than them. All this is not good for us, because the Supreme Lord doesn't like a proud person. And in the case of devotees, he will create situations that we either fall down or we will learn a valuable lesson to understand that this is not how we should be. So we should be very cautious about offending exalted personalities also. And also we should not, as I mentioned, take shelter of impious people also. And we shouldn't take shelter of both pious activities as well as impious activities also. Sometimes we think we can do this and get away with it, right? Devotees think sometimes it's okay, we can do it, it's okay. One time is okay, So one time becomes 2 times, 2 times becomes 4 times, 4 times becomes 16, like that, and so on. So we continue to do activities and we think it's okay, I did it that way, or we see someone do it. Or we see a devotee making a mistake and getting away with it, right? And you say, why he did it, why I can't do it? Which is why leaders especially in our situation, practicing devotees and so on, leaders always have to set the right or good example. It's so important. Huh? Otherwise, the new devotees or the young devotees, they may think they can do, we can do. And so it's very important. Just here also we see how Ravana was so atrocious, the way he was doing. All his followers were thinking they could do it like this also, no problem, right? They were all thinking, yeah. And so just as callous as he was in the way he was treating other living entities, his own Rakshasas in different parts of the universe were creating havoc and unnecessary trouble. Whatever we get in this world through our pious activity will go away. Brahma bhuvana loka punaravritam arjuna, right? From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, everything is miserable because sooner or later you have to give up that position. And then, but he says, one who takes shelter of him, they will never take birth and death. Here you can see in the case Shine Punye Martya Loka. So Ravana is falling down, and Prabhupada is also explaining, you will lose whatever merits you have, and then you have to fall down. And where do you fall down? You will fall down according to your karma, next life, whatever your situation is. Sometimes a living entity goes to hell and then suffers and goes through lower living species. Finally, he'll take the human birth which he abused in his previous life. And therefore, he has to start again. So we have to be very careful also. We don't want to keep coming back and accumulating pious and impious boons and merits, and then using it without knowing what to do. These are all temporary. Piety, impious, all these are temporary. And therefore, we should be very careful when we do any kind of activity. The principle of devotional service centers around this main axiom, that is, always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Smartavya satatam Vishnu, Vishmartavya najatusi. It's very important for devotees. Whatever activities we do, we have to think, how is it connected to Krishna? How am I connected to Krishna? Is this making me remember Krishna, or am I forgetting Krishna? Although it's a very simple principle, we forget this principle whenever we are doing something or whenever we are going somewhere. We don't think, am I doing this to please Krishna or his devotees? For most part, as I mentioned earlier, people are always seeking happiness, for most part. And the standard of happiness in this present age is to diminish distress, right? And increase sense gratification. For most part, you will see. So disturbance of the senses or the circumstances that surround us is a preoccupation for most living entities in order to look for happiness, yeah? Or in order to give gratification for the senses. But that is the material position, actually. So the advice that Srila Prabhupada is trying to give for us is that we shouldn't fall prey to the material position, especially the path of piety. We think we are sometimes very good, we are very good to people and so on, but failing to actually improve our bhakti. We are not thinking, I want to go back to Godhead. We are thinking today is a good day, and tomorrow will be a better day. But we are not thinking, why am I still here? Right? We don't think like that. Why am I still here? Every day we wake up and say, oh, it's going to be great today. But if we say it's going to be great out in book distribution, it's going to be great because I'm going to be preaching. If you think like that, it's fine. But if you're thinking my life is going to be okay, then you're actually acting like a pious man. And then what will be our next destination? If we do not become a good devotee, then one Maharaj was saying that Prabhupada said, he heard it, that he said most of my disciples will end up in heavenly planets. So he said he was shocked when Prabhupada said that. So then he was saying that he realized why, because they are not, they are doing, but they are not thinking of becoming serious and practicing bhakti to the point of begging the Lord, I don't want to stay here anymore. You know, I'll do everything to please you, to the devotees, but I want to get up. So therefore, we should be very careful also. Otherwise, we will go to the heavenly position and enjoy Nandana, Kanana, gardens and so on. And after that, we have to come back. And then again, the position of misery. So it becomes like a fool's paradise. So we should be, everything should be advised against. We should think carefully why Srila Prabhupada highlighted this. Shine punye martya loka vishanti, you know. So he wants us to understand that if we are not careful, we will also turn to the demigods, devotees also. I have seen many devotees. Although they are worshipping Krishna and chanting, they'll say, I want to pray. And I remember one time, many years ago, one devotee said, I'm praying to Hanumanji to protect me for this and so on. I was thinking, what is wrong, you know, with this ideology or with this thinking, you know. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also says, right, what is that? Kameshtaishta rita jnana, right? That, you know, one who worships the demigods with these material propensities is actually rita jnana. Their intelligence is stolen. Alpa medasa, right? Your intelligence is very small. This is not the right thing. Rather, we are worshipping Krishna, we are worshipping through Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the verse is Sumedasa. One is very intelligent when he understands his purpose in life and worships Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by chanting, going out and preaching, distributing books. That's what Srila Prabhupada wants us to do. Otherwise, Rita Jnana, our intelligence is gone. Maya Parita Jnana also. We will fall in those traps when we think, oh, the demigods will help and so on. Obviously, we do not ridicule the position of the demigods. They are also Vaishnavas, but they are not the personalities we pray to. Rather, we pray to the Supreme Lord in whatever situations we are. Akama, Sarvakama, Mokshakama, Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajate Purusham Param. So whatever our situation is, however difficult we are in, we should always pray to the Lord. Yes, you may need some material things. Yes, you may be suffering. Still, one should approach the Lord and say, look, I am suffering. Help me out, you know. Please, kindly, you know, help me. And also remove these materialistic desires that are in my heart so that I can progress in my Krishna consciousness, so that I can come closer to you, so that I can understand who you are, so that I know that Vrindavan is a place of endless happiness, you know. Yeah. Otherwise, we will try to find happiness in this world. It's so miserable, actually, you know. Wherever we go, even when we travel also, right, just to do devotional service, the situation is so difficult around the world. Everywhere there's chaos and people give you more trouble. So we should aspire for spiritual position, which is why Srila Prabhupada mentions this verse there. Huh? What is that? Yeah. No. I was just going to, yeah. Sagunan samititaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Srila Prabhupada mentions there. Mam cha yo vivacharayena, right? Bhakti yogena sevate. Sagunan samititaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So he's saying we should actually, with full devotional practice, we are supposed to do this. Otherwise, we will be suffering. Through the process of bhakti, the potency is there to go beyond piety and impiety. It's the only way. Otherwise, we keep getting trapped. And then we go into the realm of transcendence. Brahma bhuyaya kalpite. That means by doing, if we do sincerely, in the beginning we may totter between transcendental activities, material activities. But if we become serious, we remain in Brahma bhuyaya, the platform, Brahman platform. And in that platform you can do pure devotional service. In other platforms it's very difficult to do pure devotion. You just do a little bit, right? When you do arti and your focus, that's the only time. As soon as you get out of the altar, you are like thinking of material things. So, but if you constantly do this bhakti process with the seriousness, then you go beyond that kind of mentality. Then you come into the realm of transcendence, where the three modes of material nature cannot touch you. The Brahman platform is where the modes cannot touch you. And then you won't fall back. Your focus is so good. Now, of course, because we are always tottering here and there's a tendency to enjoy the material spirit and trying to enjoy Krishna's energy. And therefore you can see we fall and we come back, we go, right? Sometimes we are so serious, sometimes not serious. Up and down the, Ferris wheel, Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are sad, because we are trying to do that. But if you are seriously, as Srila Prabhupada says here, if you take up this bhakti process, then you can, Chindanti kovidastasya. You can cut this knot that is holding us back, karma granti nibandhanam. So we cut it off, and that's the important thing. And when we do that, instead of cultivating bad qualities, like when we are associating with material things, when we associate with pious activities, impious activities, we actually develop qualities that are not favorable for performing devotional service. But if you do bhakti, then yashyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarve gunais tatra samasati surahai. That means the sura, the demigods, we therefore manifest divine qualities. And that's how we develop those qualities that will please the Supreme Lord, that will please other living entities and bring us closer to Krishna by doing bhakti. So I think it's getting late. So Prabhupada is advocating by looking at the pastimes of this Lord Ramachandra, we can learn many wonderful instructions that we should be aspiring for a position that is pure in bhakti. Otherwise we'll end up like Ravana, or at least not quite like Ravana, but little Ravanas, yeah. Okay, yeah. All right, I'll stop here. Comments, questions, or corrections, or you want to add something, please feel free to do so. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, in Ramayana, at the end, when Ravana is just on his final breath, he surrenders unto Lord Ram because he understands that Lord Ramachandra is the Supreme Person. And he is chanting Lord Ram's names, fully surrendered unto him. So I wanted to ask, even if we, living in this material world, we do mistakes knowingly and unknowingly, and if we, at the end of our life, we just surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will we also be forgiven, or will we?
Lord Ram is very forgiving, extremely forgiving. Anyone who takes shelter of Ram says that I cannot reject them. Yeah. So similarly, if you chant his name or Krishna's name, the Lord will come and take care of you. Not necessarily you go back to Godhead immediately, not necessarily, because we can see from the pastime of Ajamil, that's right. You can see when he chanted the name of Narayan, he didn't go immediately. He was given the ability to understand his position much more clearly, and therefore he went to Haridwar, right? And then he performed serious, pure devotional service, and then he went back to Godhead like that. So yeah, although we are all saying, okay, maybe at the end of my life, I will have the opportunity to chant the Lord's name and accept. How do you know? How do we know that we will be ready to chant? Unless all through our life we are practicing all through the life, so that at the end of life we can remember and chant His name. We can't say, I'm going to be just practicing piety or some impious activities and hoping, just like Ajamil, that I will chant the Lord's name. No way, I don't think so. No, it's not possible. Just because we read in the Bhagavatam Ajamil, everyone is like, I also like Ajamil, No, we can't pretend like this. It is there to show us the potency of the holy name. It is also there to show us that if you perform bhakti very sincerely, bhakti will protect you in the time. What is that? Swapam abhyasya dharmasya trayato mahato bhagat. Yeah, so it is there to tell us that bhakti is, if you do it sincerely, not just, just, I see Haribol Krishna and then like that, those kind of activities is not good. We have to become very serious. And due to our actions or due to our association, we may give up bhakti and then do some nonsense, but then Krishna will pull you back because you were a very sincere devotee previously. But if you don't practice properly and then hope that Krishna somehow or other will come and take us, not really. It's not going to be like that. Maybe He'll give you opportunities to take birth in a better family, and then you can come to Krishna consciousness in the next life or life after that. Yeah. Does that help you?
Yeah. So then why didn't Lord Ram give Ravana another chance to correct himself and come onto the right path?
Well, he gave him many chances. If you know Ramayana, this is the last battle. Previously, he fights with Ram, and Ram defeats him. And Ram says, if you surrender and return Sita back, I will forgive you completely. Please come. And then he is shocked. Ravana is shocked. So he goes back to his palace and he's pondering and thinking, what is this? Who is this person? Should I surrender or should I not surrender? And obviously his association and so on is not good. And therefore he falls back to what he feels comfortable. So when we are habituated in cultivating bad qualities, we feel comfortable with those bad qualities. And so in the same way, Ravana was feeling comfortable with what he knows best, being a nonsense. And so he decided, I'm still better than this man. He's only a man after all. He couldn't see at that time that he is the Supreme Lord. He thought for a moment, maybe he is the Supreme Lord, as advised by all my good advisors. But he didn't. And therefore, the Lord will give us many chances, all of us. Even new devotees and so on, we practice. But if we abuse that, then He will send the material energy to punish us so that we rectify those bad qualities, bad habits. We have to give up. We can go back to Godhead the way the Lord wants us to go back, or we can go back with the Lord dragging us with a hook, reeling us in, and we are struggling and screaming and He's dragging us back. So we go through, the choice is ours actually. Yeah, we go back to Godhead willingly, or we can go back through a difficult process of suffering many lifetimes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you very much. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki